Following is a production of Locked Up Sports.
Everybody, this is Don LaGreca from the Michael K. Show. When it comes to talking sports, Bob Walters and Brett Grasso are the authority.
Can't wait.
When it comes to talking sports, they're the authority. It's Bob Walters and Brett Grasso. It's Locked Up Sports, and it starts now.
Bring them out, hey. Bring them out, yeah. Bring them out, hey. Bring them out.
Here we go. Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studios. This is Locked Up Sports. The field is set and 68 teams are ready to dance. Why St. Johns has nobody to blame but themselves for not being in the tournament this year. How the wild championship week affected the brackets. And we'll go through the brackets and pick out all the upsets that you need and what you need to fill it out. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Bob Walters. How are you today? Remember, we are always powered by the Vouch store. Vouch, VOUCH.store/Locked Up Sports. All types of good stuff over there. All types of licensed, officially licensed NFL, MLB stuff. So we really got it rolling now there at the Vouch store, and everything you need as far as in drinks to officially licensed products are out there. And listen, it's that time of year again, right? Here's my brackets right here. Okay, I have not filled them out yet. I filled out one or two. Don't forget to get onto ESPN bracket app and join the Locked Up Sports bracket pool right here. You could scan the QR code if you're watching us. You could scan the QR code. It'll bring you right to the bracket pool. You enter it. You fill out your brackets. You enter it into our pool, and away you go. If you are listening on the podcast side, you could just go to ESPN bracket pools, and the group name is Locked Up Sports 2024. It's Locked Up Sports 2024. And you fill out your bracket, you enter it in, and we want to get as many people in as possible. I'm going to try and get some of the guests that we've had on to throw their brackets in, so it's gonna be fun. And now let's start right away. So yesterday was the Selection Sunday, also St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody if you're still recovering. St. John. Let's start with St. John's, because St. John's, they have nobody to blame but themselves. And I told you that this might happen. I told you that St. John's was not a great team. Okay, the committee had them not even in the first four out. So think about that. So everybody's blaming the wild bid stealers and the upsets during championship week. Listen, there were 5 bid stealers that won their conference tournament that would not have made the tournament without winning the conference tournament. St. John's wasn't even in the first 4 out for the committee. So that really didn't affect them. They had bad losses. Listen, they played well the other day. I was at the game against Seton Hall. They played well. They had a good game. They looked like a tournament team. Seton Hall was another team that was left out. I think Seton Hall didn't belong in there, especially after the way they played in that quarterfinal match against St. John's. They just didn't belong in there. They didn't look like a tournament team. St. John's they passed the eye test, but they had some bad losses. Listen, St. John's lost to an 8-win Michigan team at the Garden. You can't have losses like that. And if you're a bubble team, be on the bubble and still get into the tournament. It's just not going to happen for you. And it didn't happen for them. I told you when I did the show right before the Big East tournament that even if St. John's beat Seton Hall, that they might not be in. They didn't look like a tournament team. Their resume was not there. Now, St. John's also declined the NIT bid. So their season is completely over. Now, this I don't agree with. Listen, get out there and play. Right? What can you? What's the worst that can happen? You lose in the NIT? Nobody's watching the NIT anyway. Okay, first of all, the NIT is hanging by a thread because there's no MSG anymore. They used to have the Final Four of the NIT at MSG. That doesn't happen anymore. There's a lot of teams that are not entering it because they're focusing on the portal, which opens up today. But as far as listen, you have big staffs on these schools, like a team like St. John's, a team like Syracuse, who also refused the NIT bid. They have big staffs. They have plenty of people to go out and recruit through the portal. St. John's should play. Listen, these kids only get 4 years to play, right? This is a postseason tournament. It's the second biggest national tournament going. Like I said, nobody watches it. but it's something. And historically, teams that do well in the NIT do well the following year and usually make it to the tournament. And St. John's and a lot of schools just refuse to play. Now, I get it. You're upset if you're St. John's. You thought you should have been in. You thought you got robbed. But like I said, you weren't as close as you thought because you weren't even in the first 4 out of the tournament. Seton Hall was. For some reason, I don't know how they had that. I don't know why Seton Hall would be ahead of St. John's. Seton Hall had some good wins. St. John's was not great against high-level opponents this year. That's the problem. St. John's lost to a bad team in Michigan at home, and they were 1-6 against ranked teams. They won only a couple, like 1 or 2 quad 1 wins. Yeah, they were ranked in the net ranking that they have. It's 32nd in the country. But listen, the committee obviously doesn't put much stock in the net ranking. It is what it is. There is only 3 Big East teams that got in, which is surprising. Before the Big East tournament, we were saying that it looked like 6 teams were going to get in. Now, Providence and Seton Hall did have their bids stolen by teams this week that won, such as NC State, who had an unbelievable run. And you know what? Good for them. Because every team starting at the beginning of last week controlled their own destiny to win a national championship or at least get into the tournament. You go win your conference tournament, you're in. You don't have to worry about being a bubble team. You don't have to worry about sitting there and sweating it out on Selection Sunday. You don't have to worry about any of that. Win your conference tournament and you're in. And everyone's all, oh, St. John's has this, and they have UConn. Okay, too bad. NC State had Duke, North Carolina, all these big ACC schools in there. They went out there and as a 10 seed, won 5 games in 5 days and won the ACC tournament and played their way in to the field of 68. And that's what you got to do. So nobody to blame but yourself as far as the Big East goes. And St. John's, there's people calling for investigations and stuff online. Like, listen, get over it. Okay, you didn't win enough games. St. John's didn't win enough games. Seton Hall lost to St. John's, who didn't get in the tournament. Seton Hall did not look like a tournament team the other day. Okay, St. John's, they played UConn close, but go out, like I said, go out and beat UConn. Why couldn't you go out and beat UConn? I know they're better than you. I know they'll win 9 out of 10 times, but go out and beat them. St. John's never gets a win like that. You know when they get wins like that? When they stink and they play Duke. That's what they do. They win 6 games all year. They beat Duke. That's how it went on forever. You got to win these games in the tournament. Go out there, beat UConn. UConn was going to be a number 1 seed either way. Now, as far as UConn goes, listen, UConn is the number 1 overall seed, right? They're the number 1 overall seed. We'll bring it up here. Here are the top 4 seeds in each region. So UConn is the number 1 overall seed. Everybody seems to be picking them. They are the hot pick. All the analysts, everyone on ESPN last night I saw picked UConn to win. I don't have them winning. You know what? This is a hard tournament to win, and it's even harder to win twice in a row. All you need is one bad game. All you need is to go up against one opponent who's shooting the lights out, and you get beat. You could lose on any day. Any one of these teams could lose on any day. I have UConn out in the Sweet 16 to San Diego State, who's a 5 seed. Now, we're going to go over the upsets and stuff like that in just a minute. But if you look, the number 2 overall seed here is Houston, and then Purdue, and then North Carolina. North Carolina did not drop out of the 1 slot with the loss to NC State. Okay, now other teams in here that can make a run. Duke is the 16th best team in this tournament. They have them as the 13th best, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think Alabama is better than Duke, and I think Kansas is better than Duke. You got Creighton in there as the 10th best team in the tournament as far as the committee goes. Listen, if you know this tournament, you know that it doesn't go chalk. Okay? We've had double-digit seeds in the Final Four, and that could happen again this year. So when you're filling out your bracket, just remember, it don't put the 1s and the 2s in the Final Four. All these analysts have them. They don't get it right either. Nobody gets it right. And that's why the lady in accounts receivable wins the bracket pool every year, because she doesn't know. She's picking on colors and she's picking on mascots and everything like that. She doesn't know. It's called March Madness for a reason, is what it is. Okay, and the reason is because nobody knows what's gonna happen. Do I think UConn can win this one? Do I think they're the best team in the country? I do. I think UConn is clearly the best team in the country, but I also think that they can get beat. UConn seems to play teams close. They don't blow them out right away. They let teams hang around. They did it with St. Johns. They did it in the first round of the Big East tournament. They let these teams hang around. One of these times they're going to get beat. They usually now pull away in the second half, UConn, because they are better. But all you need now is a bad second half shooting performance or a team to have one or two players get red hot and start ripping threes, and that's it. You're out. So the likelihood of that is much more likely than UConn running through the tournament and winning the whole thing for a second straight year. Put on top of that UConn is in one of the toughest bracket, and probably the toughest region. They're in the East region. They're going to be playing in Boston for the regional, the Sweet 16. I have them going out in their first game in Boston. So, yeah, I mean, listen, you never know. As far as upsets go, the numbers of the upsets you're looking at right here, I'll go through them. These are the top upsets as far as the computers say, with chances. New Mexico, an 11 seed, Oregon, an 11 seed, NC State, an 11 seed. If you looked at a lot of them, 11 and 12s. Then the 12s, they got all four 12 seeds as likely as good chances of upsets. You got McNeese at a 30% chance to upset. Grand Canyon, who I like to win their game. Samford, UAB, and James Madison are all 12 seeds. And then there's they threw a 14 seed in there, Akron, to win their game. So listen, this is more likely going to happen than chalk 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. That other graphic I put up there, winning and making it to the Final Four. It just doesn't happen. Like I said, it's called March Madness for a reason. And the reason is because it's madness. Now, it all gets started on Thursday. Thursday at 12 o'clock is when it tips. Now, okay, I get it. The first four in Dayton is Tuesday. Tomorrow, there'll be 2 games tomorrow. I've told you many, many times. I'll tell you again, I don't count them as tournament games. Okay? Yeah, if you get put in that Dayton bracket, you're not on the bracket. If you're not on the bracket, you're not in the tournament. Because this right here is what everybody goes off of. This is what everybody has in their hands. This is what everybody has on the app, is the bracket. And you see on the bottom again, just don't forget, scan the QR code to get into our bracket challenge, the Locked Up Sports Bracket Challenge, one of the most prestigious bracket challenges in the country. So as far as now, the Final Four and everything, Final Four is April 6th. April 8th is the championship game. Couple things about this year's tournament. You got no Jim Nance. Okay, last year was his last time doing the NCAA tournament. He kind of slowing down, I guess, a little bit. He's focusing on golf. I saw he was doing the golf yesterday. He'll be getting ready for the Masters, I would imagine. And also in the studio for CBS, no Greg Gumbel, which is a huge loss. You know, he's just become synonymous with the tournament. You know, you get Greg Gumbel in there. You have Clark Kellogg, the whole crew. So Greg Gumbel is not there. They haven't said what it is. I don't know if he's sick or if it's a family member that's sick, but he's out for family health reasons, is what they said. So we hope everything works out with Greg Gumbel. We hope he's back next year. But you know, you never know. So as far as championship week went, listen, championship week, they did steal bids. It was wild. Okay, there were some wild stories. NC State being the big one. In the A10 right here in Brooklyn, you had all top four seeds out by like the second day of the tournament. You had all the big seeds out, and that was a bid stealer. You had Long Beach State University, who fired their coach last week. They agreed at the end of the season, at the end when they get eliminated, to mutually part ways, whatever it was. He was fired. They went on and they ran the table, won their tournament. They are now in as a 15 seed, and they will play Alabama. So listen, if championship week is any indication, just know that you're not going to get the 4-1 seeds. You're not going to get 2 seeds in there. It could be crazy. Okay? Like I said, UConn, did they do a disservice to UConn? Maybe. Because the people are saying that they got the toughest region. Listen, they're all tough, okay? These games are crazy, and it's called March Madness because it is madness. The body of the tournament itself is really Thursday through Sunday. Thursday through Sunday, you get a ton of games. Thursday at noon until Sunday around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. It's just madness. There's upsets, buzzer beaters. It's wall-to-wall basketball. And then the smoke clears on Sunday night around 9, 10 o'clock, and you're left with 16 teams. The Sweet 16 gets kicked off the following Thursday. The tournament, the body of the tournament is really those 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. This Thursday through Sunday. And it's one of the best 4 days on the sports calendar. It's one of my favorite 4 days. It is something that I used to skip school with my buddies, and we'd sit home and we'd watch the tournament from 12 o'clock on Thursday until 9, 10 o'clock on Sunday. And it was a lot of fun. It's the games and the upsets. You know, me, I like rooting for upsets. And if you're filling out your brackets, just 12-5 is the big one that everybody has. Listen, 18 of the past 23 years, there's been a 12-5. So that means only 5 times in the last 23 years, there has not been a 12 upsetting of 5. This year there's going to be one. I think there's going to be more than one. I have Grand Canyon beating St. Mary's. Okay, that's a 12-5. I have Grand Canyon going into the Sweet 16. I think Vermont is a good team. I think Vermont is a smart upset pick. Okay, they play Duke. I know it's Duke. Duke is not as good this year. Okay, so Vermont has been in the tournament now 3 straight years. You want to look for that. You want to look for teams that they have experience. They're older. A lot of these big blue chip schools, yeah, they have more talent, but they're young. They're freshmen. They're sophomores. They're 18, 19. There's a big difference between 18 and 19 and 21 and 22 years old. So a lot of these small schools, they don't have kids going to the NBA. So what it is they've been playing together 3 and 4 years. And you just grow. Like they're more grown into their bodies at 21, 22 as you are at 18, 19. Now, the Duke has more talent than Vermont. Don't get me wrong. But Vermont is a better team. They've been here. They've done this. They've had NCAA tournament experience the last 2 years. I have Vermont beating Duke, and I have Vermont going into the Sweet 16. Now, we've seen that before. UVM, back when I was in college up in Plattsburgh, UVM was right there, right across the lake. They would go into the tournaments with Tom Brenneman was the coach. I think his name is Tom Brenneman. That sounds like the announcer, but Tom Brenneman or Brennan was the coach. He took them to a couple NCAA tournaments. They even had upsets. They beat Duke. Vermont beat Duke in a huge upset. I think it was a 15-2. Now, as far as the 16-1s go, that's only happened twice. But it has happened twice very recently. You had Purdue out last year. You had Virginia lost 2 or 3 years ago as a 1 seed. They were the first one. NC State is a 11 seed. They play Texas Tech. Okay? Look for NC State. They're red hot. Their confidence is sky high. You got to pick the upsets, okay? There's a reason why the lady, like I said, the lady in accounts receivable wins this damn thing every year. There's a reason why I sit there and watch these games all year, watch the whole championship week, and then my bracket is nothing but a list of teams that have lost by Saturday or Sunday. As far as, like I said, as far as the picks and the way the bracket was done, here's what they had as far as first 4 in and last 4 in, first 4 out. So the last 4 in, as far as the committee goes, it was Boise State, Colorado, Virginia, and Colorado State. The first 4 they had out was Oklahoma, Seton Hall, Indiana State, and Pittsburgh. Indiana State, I think, has a gripe here. Because for someone like Indiana State, they play in a small conference, okay? They are a good team. They are a talented team. They have enough talent. They look like a tournament team. They got a ton of wins. But the schedule wasn't strong enough, is what it appears that kept them out. Who are they going to play? These big schools, if Indiana State tries to schedule a game with, a North Carolina or a Duke or a Kentucky, those schools aren't going to take the game. Because for their games, their easy walkover games, they want easy games. They play tough, the ACC and the Big 12 and the Big East. They don't want to play teams like Indiana State. Why? Because It's a chance they could lose the game. So Indiana State, it's tough for them to make a schedule. It's tough for them to play big, hard teams. And they end up with getting left out of the tournament because they got upset in their conference tournament. And then the committee says, well, they didn't have enough big wins, enough quad one wins. They didn't play a tough enough schedule. What do you want them to do? So if I'm Indiana State, I'm upset that a team like Michigan State got in and you left me out. That's what I'd be upset about. And then you have, like I said, Seton Hall. I don't know how they got Seton Hall as the second team out. I think they looked terrible last week against St. John's. St. John's blew them out. I would have put St. John's there, and I would have swapped them. And Pittsburgh was left out with a 40 net ranking. Listen, the net ranking for Seton Hall was 67. And they put them ahead of St. John's, whose net ranking was 32. So clearly, the net ranking is just irrelevant to these teams. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the committee, because now you have teams of the last four that were in. You got Virginia with a 54 net ranking. You have Colorado State with a 36 net ranking. These teams, all worse than St. John's as far as the ranking goes, got bids into the tournament, and St. John's and Providence were left out. So, listen, it's always a mystery. You could put in, and people are talking about expanding. You could put in all kinds of teams. Okay, you could put in 120 teams, and the 121st and 122nd and 123rd team will have problems with what you did. So there will always be gripes. I don't think they should expand the tournament. People are saying they should expand the tournament, let these little guys in. If they expand the tournament, it's not going to let little guys in. Here's what it's going to do. It's going to make more the big schools get in who really probably don't deserve it. Right? That's what's going to happen. And you don't want that to happen, especially now that they have the conferences are condensing. You're going to have these super conferences with 20 teams, 25 teams. It's really going to eventually get down to 2 or 3 conferences. Basketball might keep it a little bit more than football, but it's not going to be many conferences, and it's going to be some big super conferences. And if they expand this tournament to, say, 80 teams or 120 is what they're talking about, then it just dilutes the conference tournament now. Your regular season is already basically meaningless. The conference tournament is your chance. That's where things get big last week. And look how great was conference tournament week last week. It was great. You got these no-name teams coming and playing their way into the tournament. So if you're one of these teams that missed it, you know what? Go out there and win more games next year. Don't have bad losses like St. John's had to Michigan or like Seton Hall had to St. John's. Don't do it. Win the games. Make it so you're not on the bubble. Make it so you don't give the committee a reason to keep you out of the field. And if you do that, then you have nothing to worry about. Go win your conference tournament. Like I said, St. John's, go beat UConn. How many times do we see this St. John's team was not much better than the previous ones? And I think they should play in the NIT as well. Get out there and play. It's experience. Experience is everything. They got a new coach this year. Get out there and coach. You got plenty of time. You got plenty of staff that you could throw in the portal to work on that. There's not going to be too many signings going on this week or the next 2 weeks. And maybe you get eliminated. Maybe you're out of the NIT after the next week. But you got to play a game, some experience. They probably would have got a home game. St. John's would have been a higher seed in the NIT. And you got a bunch of schools like this. Listen, the NIT is not going to be around for a while. Okay? It's hanging by a thread. It's going to eventually, within the next couple of years, I think, just fail to exist. So there's that going on. So Thursday, it all starts. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. Fill out your brackets. Don't forget to get into our Locked Up Sports bracket pool. You can scan the QR code, like I said, if you're watching. If you are listening to us, just go to download the ESPN bracket app. I think it's Tournament Challenge app. You'll see it. Put in ESPN. It'll be the first one that comes up. Download that. Fill out a bracket. Enter it into Locked Up Sports 2024 is the name of the group. It's a public group, so anybody can enter a bracket in. You can enter up to 2 brackets, and we have the trophy that is on its way. It's been shipped, on its way to me, and you will own the trophy if you win the bracket pool. So like I said, a wild championship week, a lot of fun. It's gonna be just as crazy this week, starting Thursday, noon tip off, and I can't wait. I can't wait to watch the games, to see the upsets. Listen, we've had some crazy Final Fours recently. FAU, a little nothing school down in Boca Raton in the tournament last year, made it to the Final Four. They are now an 8 seed this year. They play Northwestern. I think FAU is going to win that game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, so get your stuff together, get your brackets filled out. I'm filling mine out. I don't have it filled out. I don't want to sit here and go through the whole tournament with you, go through the bracket one by one and game by game. That's boring. One, because it's boring. Two, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this now for like 25 years. Never once have I won a bracket pool. One time I made it to the final game with a chance to win. I was opposing my father. We had opposite teams in the finals. I lost. So over 25, maybe even 30 years now, I have yet to win a bracket pool. So why am I going to sit here and go through all the games and all the upsets? It's just not worth it. It's really not. It starts this Thursday, 12 o'clock. It's on CBS, TNT, TBS. You get every game. You know, listen, just make sure you watch it. Enjoy it. That's going to be it for us today. We're going to have a baseball preview coming up next week. We're going to also, update you on all the tournament games and everything that's going on. Brett will be back next week, or she should be back next week. And we're working on Bob Husler to give us a Mets preview and everything like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget, enter the bracket pool, Locked Up Sports bracket pool. We are powered by the Voucher store. Enjoy it, everybody. It's going to be madness. The madness is ready to start, and it starts Thursday. Enjoy the games. We'll talk to you next week. I'm Bob Walters. See ya.